so in my previous video, I taught you how to create a new file in Photoshop, particularly how to set the width, the height, the resolution, and the color mode. Okay, so there, I mentioned that RGB has 60 million colors while CMYK only has 1 million colors. And in this video, I'm going to demonstrate to you how big of a difference that is. Okay, so in order for me to demonstrate that, I will be creating two different files. One using the RGB color mode and the other using CMYK. Okay, so let me just create the files. So we go to the file menu and select new. Okay, so we set the width to 5 inches and also the height. Okay, then 300 for the resolution and then RGB for this one. Click OK. Now, so the other one, same dimensions, 5 inches, 300 ppi, but this time we will use CMYK. Okay, so now we will be using the brush tool to demonstrate the difference in terms of the color gamut of CMYK and RGB, and we will be choosing a bright color in our color picker. So I will use this green in the corner right here. Now that we've chosen the color, let me just resize the brush. We use the close bracket to increase the size of our brush and the open bracket to decrease it. We can also just simply right click onto our canvas and resize it this way. Okay. However, it will be more difficult to determine the size as it won't be visible. So it is best to just use the bracket as keyboard shortcut. Okay, so let's also make sure that a solid brush is selected just because I want it to be a solid green so the difference is easily identifiable. Now, I think we are set. So this is our RGB document and this is our CMYK. Now, let me just click here. Look at that. It's so bright. It's so bright. Okay, so now let's go to the CMYK file and let me click here. So as you can see, the color green is looking more dull as compared to the RGB one because as we mentioned, RGB has 60 million colors while CMYK only has 1 million colors. Okay, so this explains why what we see on the screens of our gadgets such as our laptops, our mobile devices, and iPads are different than what we see as printed outputs because the printers that we have use CMYK while the screens that we have use RGB. Okay, and I think they say that RGB is the color mode that is closer in terms of its color, that is closer to the number of colors that our eyes can see. But our eyes can still see more colors than what the RGB color mode can display. Okay, so as I've said in my previous video, you shouldn't be afraid to bend the rule. So the rule is, if it is for printing, you set the color mode to CMYK, but if it is for digital use only, you use RGB. But let's not be afraid to bend the rules. Okay, so let me just share to you my experience. So there was this instance where I created a project that is intended to be printed, and knowing the concept, I then set the color mode to CMYK. Okay, but then when I brought the project to the printing shop to have it printed, it took them a while to print it. And when I asked why, they said it was because they had to convert it to RGB. Okay, and I was like, why? Why do they need to convert it to RGB if it is intended for printing? But of course, I didn't ask them. I just let them do their job. And once I got the printed output, it looked really good. Okay, it was really good. And so I thought, well, then maybe it doesn't really matter if I always use RGB because CMYK is annoying anyway. I mean, whenever I set CMYK as color mode and I'd start choosing a striking color in the color picker and I start to use it, I'd see an entirely different color, and it annoys me every single time. Okay? Another reason why I always set my color mode to RGB is that whenever I print my documents, the color discrepancy won't be as bad as I expect it to be. Okay? So there is almost no difference actually. But if ever there is, it will be very minimal. Okay? And that is the reason why I always set my color mode to RGB. Again, it is good to know the rules, but do not be afraid to bend the rules. Okay? So, I think that would be all for this video. I hope you find this useful, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!